Hi guys, let's walk through. It's part 2 of callouts video. You can watch it on my channel, the first part. So it's breakdown of how it's made in Blender and 3dcoat and Photoshop. So let's jump straight in. So here is my final asset built in Blender, and we can. I will change the render engine from Cycles to Eevee because it will be faster on my computer. So let's change it. Okay, and here it is. But wait, the textures must load. Okay, so this asset, for example, is made from cards. So we have this curse effect, and I wanted to make it space and in 3D, but I found that the easiest solution is sometimes the best solution. So I just created cards in Photoshop with this kind of labyrinthian effect, and then I just uploaded it to the Photoshop to the Blender. I created two types of this asset. So first one is just like flat image, and you can do it like import Shift A, image as plane, and when you import image as plane, you can find your texture and then apply it to this. And here is probably the same idea, that maybe not the same, maybe it's more complex, but basically it's like you have your cube. I don't know why it's without alpha, but in Cycles it's with opacity. So here it is. Here is the same idea. I just created the same texture. Maybe I added some rust from bridge, from Quixel bridge. So random, nothing. I didn't edit this texture, and then I just I just wait. I just slapped this stuff on top of each other, just like that, and we can create this kind of effect. And here is the ground plane, and of course I just wanted to make some tiles on the floor, and you can just make it with easy steps. This is destroyed pillar, and this is the philosophy of making this in Blender. Maybe the other asset I have is here, is the same idea. Maybe it's more completed. So, but the basic idea is the same. So I just have some assets from 3dcoat. Here is the sculpted asset from 3dcoat, as you can see, imported into Blender. So when you have this, you can then there is another, and then we have some simple shapes with this texture, and we can build this kind of stuff here. Then for export, I just use the camera with my preferred view of the asset, that it can show us what we can see, what we want in this column, for example. And look, it's on 100 millimeters. 60, sorry, but it should be 100, but I don't know why. So this is how it's made. Okay, so here is another asset, probably from much more finished, and the same philosophy applies. So I have my this pattern. It's on the I think it's on some kind of geometry that's flat, and it's circle cut in half, the tube, and then we can make this kind of cool looking labyrinth of corrosion using just simple flat planes. And of course we have some assets. I wanted to make it modular, So it's made in 3dcoat, and there is a simple texture, gold, and I don't remember how I made it. I would have to. It's simple projection of just like painting, texture paint. I think if you Google it on YouTube, it's texture paint in Blender, and it's like you combine just. I don't know this nodes, but you know it's really simple. You just experiment and you combine two nodes, gold and for example, concrete, and then you can paint, and it's more or less okay. You can see, of course, it's not perfect because this UV mapping is on the model from 3dcoat is messy, but for our purposes it's okay because you can overpaint it later. So this is the asset of the column. Um, let's see, and then we have this column. For example, no, this is not this one, but let's pretend it's this one. So we have the raw render. Then we have, you can add some passes here, like gloss pass, like I don't know, normal pass, and I don't know, diffuse, and then overpaint it in Photoshop. So to just, you know, make it like look more painterly, but majority of job is done in 3D. So let's see another example. Here is another asset I have created. So we have a destroyed wall, and then we have this curse effect applied to this wall, so we can see how it's made in Blender. So we have now let's rotate the light to see something more. So we have let's separate this. Okay, so we have this asset. It was made in 3dcoat to sculpt it, you know, like simple blocks, and then some alpha brush to you know, sculpt in these cracks in the wall. Then in the Blender, I have used this method to just compile this this simple one texture. I almost use one. I use one texture, and it looks cool. It's flat, and you can, you know, rotate it and create the idea of space and 3Dness, and it's really cool because it looks very complex, but it's really simple. And I think this is the really cool way to work in Blender and to make quick assets. Like you can almost do everything. I try to use this method to use, you know, like foliage, like trees and so on and so forth. So here we have our assets. So it's combined with these simple textures, and of course we have this effect of I must find how I made it because it's like simple. I was experimenting with, these are the ready textures from Quixel. So here is example how you can prepare your call out. For example, you have prepared some 3D assets. You can create like simple blocks, and now you can, you know, test your textures, build something from it. So you have modular approach to your building, and in fact you can build your whole city, but it's better to start with one simple asset and then, you know, play with it and try to make it looks cool. So here is also this stone, you know, I was texture painting, so it's called texture paint, as you can see. I don't know, I will record separate video explaining this method because now I don't remember how how it works. If I was to go to this project now, I would not remember it. So it's like, but let's focus on this asset. So yeah, this is how this asset is made. So for example, here is diffuse map rendered from Blender. So this is front view of this wall. this is without transparency, and I combine this in the Photoshop. So here are some screens from 3dcoat, how I work in 3dcoat. So you can see I sculpt, I download some already sculptures, maybe I sculpt some other assets and build from it my kitbash library. I will show you in the second. Here is one last render of the column, and also there is a one last technique that also I used in 3dcoat. So I created this kind of labyrinth from the same texture, but you know, I extruded it and then I used it as a box, and then you can have like crazy complex stuff made very easy. So the 3dcoat is superb in this manner to create this kind of cool stuff. And here is this massive kitbash library I built for my project. And like I said in the early, in the first video, I started to, I had my task to make, you know, these curves, only the curves, and I of course started to build the whole city. And the idea was just, you know, focus on the first main idea, like these columns, cursed columns that are consumed by these rusty curves, and later build some keyframes or in the production paintings. But when you start to sculpt in 3D, build your assets, it's like super fun. I like this a lot. But you can see, you can use your assets to create city or architecture, you know, because for example, we can take this let's see, we can take this kind of wall. Okay, we have a simple wall, and we can add modifiers to it. So first modifier is array, so you can create like wall from it, and it can be, you know, like wall, long wall. We can add some probably simple transform. Where is it? Simple transform. Oh my god, yeah, simple transform. And sometimes it looks good, sometimes it's not great. Sometimes you have to, okay, so it can bend, but sometimes it's, I don't know. There are ways. Okay, so you can see, you can bend it, like make it for railing in the for railing like so. But sometimes you can have, for example, you can make, I don't know, circle from it. If it depends, I think this of the orientation of it depends where your origin is, and then you can play with it. So I sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay, but you get the point. So you can, thanks to the asset, it's really cool to create assets, and you can build your like callouts from it. So for example, you want to make a city, how wall looks like maybe this wall is okay wall, new wall, and then it's destroyed wall with this curse, so consumed normal wall, and so on and so on. So you can also have like some kind of sculptures and stuff like that. So here are the columns, and of course columns are modular, so I designed them like to make every part of this column, because it was my main asset, and here is the column with curves effect. So I started build it here, but then I moved. So when you are building your asset, it's sometimes better to start maybe with your kitbash library, but later on just copy everything, Ctrl+C, and put it into the new document, because it tends to get messy. And I just, for example, I got lost when I tried to make everything in one file, it's like hard. So okay, so here are the separated 3D models of this effect. So we have, of course, 3D curves, and of course we have the flat, and we combine this with each other, and we can have really cool, interesting effects. So sometimes you have to prepare your asset. For example, if I want to make destroyed window, I have destroyed window, so probably I would just take this, okay, and it's like, it can look stupid from, for example, one angle, because you are like making this from front, for example, then you overpaint it, so it doesn't matter to how it sometimes look in 3D. Of course, it would be the best if the 3D models were like perfect and like game ready, but for concept art, it's like we can overpaint some stuff later. Yeah. So let's jump to 3dcoat. Okay, we are in 3dcoat now, and here we can see how these assets can be used and built. So, for example, here I have downloaded my assets to exported them into my asset libraries. So okay, but for example, you want to create some block. You press. It's not tutorial for 3dcoat, so I just assume you know it's like pipeline work. It's like loose talk about stuff, how you can make it, and you know, so you can prepare your stuff like so. Here's scrape tool. It's scrape, and you press soft scrape, so you can, you know, sloppily destroy your stones, and it's really cool. I even don't use tablet for it. I use my mouse, as you can hear the clicking sound. But for 3dcoat, I really like 3dcoat because you can easily make very complex stuff. Like, I don't know, you can twist stuff like this. It's nothing happening, but warp. I don't know even what will happen, but okay. So you can experiment with this, and but you know, it's sometimes it's like I don't know. Sometimes it's chance how it looks, but okay. So for example, I will show you the how to make cracks in the wall. So you just take alpha brush. You can download it or buy somewhere in the art station, for example. These are the same that that you can use in I think ZBrush, and then you can extrude. Or what? Okay, not this one. So brush, build. Of course, I'm okay. And you click, for example, control click. It makes it go down, and this go up. So you can use many cool things to just, you know, like in 3D sculpting tools, so you can make really complex stuff. You can look it very complex, because in the end we are then overpainting stuff. So yeah, this is the library. I sometimes imported stuff from Blender to 3dcoat. Because in Blender it's too perfect with 3D, so you can now, for example, destroy your 3D with I don't know, cut tool and other tools to make it customized to your needs. Because for example, when we are using this stuff for curves, so we can design it like, okay, so here will be it will be corroded here. I have probably symmetry on, so I will. And for example, you can import your curves effect. You can sculpt it, and then, you know, we can play with some big forms. But I found that sometimes it's better to export things to Blender and then play with it, because in 3dcoat maybe you can have render engine, you can make simple sketches maybe, but sometimes I don't know, it lacks the flexibility of Blender if you have all assets here, but you can try. Other thing, cool thing is stencils. So I have shown you this stencil of curse effect, like so. So this is this labyrinthian labyrinth type stuff, and you can, for example, I don't know, cut. You can see, you just take this cut and cut, and so you can have chaotic something. So you can see we have, with just 2 strokes, we have created very complex model. You can see we have created very complex model. When we import it in, for example, let's make this for fun. I will import it to Blender. Okay, so we have imported this strange thing to the Blender, and first thing to do when you import stuff from 3dcoat, as you can see, it's very dense in terms of count of these polygons. I don't know what's. So we go to modifiers, add modifier, decimate, and we can try to starting with 0.2. Sometimes, you want to have bigger, better quality, but for the sake of this kind of geometrical stuff, we want to decimate it as much as we can. And you can see how much it helps with performance. Okay, so we look and see how much better this looks. And now we can use planar decimate, so it's much better now, and the optimization is much more smooth. So okay, so for example, we have this, and I like. Maybe I know what I will do. So I duplicated this. We can for example, select A, bisect tool, knife, and bisect. Bisect is really cool. Fill cap, clear outside, and you can see what it will make. It will do. Boom. It just destroys, deletes unwanted stuff. So it's very, very cool. Okay, and for example, we have this strange thing here. Let's go to cycles, because cycles is much better. And now, even if we have one stupid asset, we can play with it, and we can make abstract stuff with it. So we can, for example, like I will show you this cool thing I'm doing constantly in my sometimes quick sketches. New shader, delete, volume, scatter, and you can see we'll have volume maybe 0.4. I don't know. It's very dense, but still. And now we have something crazy. Okay, and now we can start to play. It's more like playing with the shapes, because it's not like design oriented. So I'm missing the mark here while talking about these assets. But look how cool this is. And for example, if you are working on this kind of call out, you probably don't need this fog here, but you can use some kind of. So for example, we have close-up of some strange structure. Of course, we can add textures there and so on, but we can have, like some interesting close-up with this simple small asset, and we can of course scale it, and this is the power of 3D, because you make one stuff and you can duplicate it, then you can go grab your screen or make quick render. You have separated your background, and then we have stuff like this. So we can have renders, and then we overpaint it. Sometimes very quick overpaint is like just change background, maybe contrast, and so on. So here it is, kitbash. You have seen this today. It's not finished, by the way. So, but it illustrates the point. So I think these callouts are okay for purposes. Yeah. So you can sculpt your stuff in Blender. You can sculpt it in 3dcoat. You can use very simple ideas like one asset. One asset to just play around, make variations of it, and it's simple. It's complicated, but still we want to have it like organized. So yeah. So this is like breakdown. I know this breakdown was super chaotic, but I hope it somehow helped you. Maybe for sure I will record more structured stuff in the future, like in this week maybe. But I wanted to go back to this project for myself and maybe explore it a little bit. Maybe it will give you some insight of how you can approach this stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned.